During the debut of the late 2016 MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, Apple has shown the LG Ultrafine 5K monitor as the ultimate companion to its flagship laptop. At the time, I was building my new editing station around the redesigned MacBook Pro and wanted as few visible cables as possible. It was between that and holding on to my old Thunderbolt display, which wasn't even 4K. While it looked good, it was definitely showing its age. The LG Ultrafine 5K, which was heavily discounted by Apple down to just $975 at the time, it was no brainer. Now 7 months later, I'm here to tell you, is she just fine or is she ultrafine? I'm not going to focus too much on the technical specs, but instead I'll go through my real world experience of using it daily since December. Let's get one thing out of the way, and that's the design. There is absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing exciting nor inspiring about it. If I drop this monitor into a pile of monitors from the early 2000s, you'll never be able to pick it out of a lineup. The entire housing is made out of black plastic, giving a somewhat cheap and hollow feel. But the good news is that the leg is heavy-duty metal. I have mine on a monitor arm, which was something I couldn't do with a Thunderbolt display without having to buy a special adapter plate. If you guys are interested in the type of arm that I'm using, I'll have the link down below so you can check it out. The material might feel cheap, but the front of the monitor is very clean. The bezels are very slim, making the Thunderbolt display seem dated. Having said that, the bezels are not symmetrical. It's a bit hard to ignore the big forehead, but at least they were able to put a decent 1080p camera and a microphone. There is also an ambient light sensor, but to date, Apple has not updated macOS to enable its functionality. Maybe we'll see it in High Sierra. Looking at the sides, the angles are very sharp and clean. On the back of the monitor, you can see what looks like 4 USB-C ports and the power connector. One thing LG did a great job on was to put the 200-watt power supply inside the housing so you don't get the giant brick that comes with most other monitors. The downside, of course, is that it does make the monitor thicker. Going back to those ports, the one that's circled with a lightning bolt on the top is the only Thunderbolt 3 display in the form of a USB-C, just like on the new MacBook Pros. This single port not only carries the display signal, but will also transmit data and audio as well as power to a MacBook Pro. That's awesome. I love a clean desk setup, and I want as few cables as possible. The remaining USB-C ports are of 3.1 Gen 1 variety, which is a bit disappointing, so the max throughput is only 5 gigabits per second, as opposed to the 3.1 Gen 2, which will give you 10 gigabits per second. One big omission, in my opinion, is the lack of an SD card reader. A lot of people were up in arms when Apple decided to get rid of the SD card reader on the new MacBook Pros, requiring the use of a dongle. The allure of using the Ultrafine 5K is so that you don't have to use any dongles. So in this case, I think LG missed a pretty big opportunity here. So moving down to the bottom, you'll find a pair of stereo speakers firing downward that put out some decent sound. Not all that different than the iMac or the Thunderbolt display. The monitor comes with a heavy-duty all-metal stand, which allows you to make height and tilt adjustments, but no pivot. Or for those that like even more freedom of movement with their screens, you can mount it on an arm. LG includes a metal base of mounting plate and it integrates pretty well with the display. It allows me to position the monitor how I want, and freeing up the space underneath is just bonus. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the monitor looks like, it's gotta perform. Plug and play is the name of the game. All it takes is one Thunderbolt 3 cable, which LG includes. Plug one end into the back of the monitor with the lightning bolt symbol, and the other end goes into your MacBook Pro, and you're done. As I've said before, this monitor will blend right in with the rest of the Dell or HP monitors in your typical office setting, but when you turn it on, the black plastic just melts away. And the only thing you'll be looking at is that gorgeous 5K display. And what a display it is. We're talking 27-inch IPS 10-bit panel, 5120 by 2880 resolution. We're talking over 14.7 million pixels, which is 77% more than a 4K display. 77% more. P3 wide color gamut, In a layman's term, this means it has bigger range of color than RGB. Of course, if you currently own a 5K iMac, then you'll be right at home since it's the exact same panel used. Just like the iMac and the Thunderbolt display, there are no physical controls anywhere. Instead, all the adjustments are done from the macOS settings menu. From there, you can adjust the brightness, resolution, and color profile. I've been using the LG 5K since late December on a day-to-day basis, and for the most part, it just works. The colors are vibrant, and the text is super sharp, and doing photo and video editing on it is an absolute delight. But I did say it works for the most part. So let's talk about some of the things that's not so great, and they're more of annoyances than deal breakers. First off, the graphic glitches that pop up every so often, especially when I wake the laptop. I'll see some color bars at the top of the screen for just a split second. Second thing is the volume, although I believe it's more of a macOS issue than the monitor itself. When you adjust the volume, there is a huge jump from first to the second bar. Even though it's only a 1 bar increment, the volume goes up by at least 30%. It's a major annoyance, especially if you just want to increase the volume slightly. After multiple OS updates, this issue still hasn't been fixed. Third, and this could very well be a deal breaker for some people, is that apparently LG didn't put any or not enough shielding in the Ultrafine 5K, so that if your wireless router is placed within a couple of feet, your monitor will not function correctly. LG did issue a statement that its new batch of monitors will have the proper shielding. But if you were one of the early adopters, such as myself, you would have to send your monitor to LG and they will have to give the proper shielding. That's right. Even though you can only buy the monitor from Apple, they will not be the one providing the fix. So the turnaround time might be 1 or even 2 weeks. For many, that's going to be a hard pill to swallow. I am puzzled about this lack of oversight on something as fundamental and basic as RF shielding, especially with collaboration from Apple. With a 25% discount that ended March 31st of this year, I think the LG Ultrafine 5K actually represents a very good value compared to the only 2 other 27-inch 5K offerings from Dell and HP, both of which were significantly more expensive compared to the original retail price of $1,300. However, this value is only realized when it's paired with a compatible Apple laptop. If you have a Windows machine, the monitor will work, but you will only get 4K resolution and 0 screen adjustment, since it's all controlled through macOS. So while the LG Ultrafine 5K is certainly not in the same league as the Apple Thunderbolt display, design-wise, its display panel is light years ahead. And at the end of the day, doesn't matter how great looking a monitor is or how nice it looks sitting on your desk, the performance certainly needs to match. So if you have a compatible MacBook Pro, which really is any 2016 models and up, this is currently the best offering on the market, even at its full retail price of $1,300. Of course, that is until Apple launches its own standalone display, hopefully sometime next year. If you have the Ultrafine 5K or even its smaller brother, the Ultrafine 4K, let me know down below what you think. Is it worth the price, or are you on the ultra-wide bandwagon? That's all I got for today. Hey, thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.